Hi, my name's John, and I'm in 12-step recovery, and I'm going to tell you how I worked the steps incorrectly. Why would I do that? Because maybe if you hear some of the things I did, it'll give you the opportunity to consider whether you want to do those same things or not, in light of the fact they did not get me sober. I would love it, whatever you do, that you do get the results you're hoping for in whatever your struggle is. When I first started working the 12 steps, I did not have much guidance. I was looking at the literature, but not really understanding the literature. However, my situation was so severe that I really saw no alternative to working the steps. I really believed I was out of chances and out of options. Eventually, I discovered some recordings. Their title is The Big Book Comes Alive. It's recorded by a couple of long sober alcoholics named Joe and Charlie. They go through the book called Alcoholics Anonymous, what's informally called The Big Book, written in about the 1940s era, and they work the steps as were described in that era's literature. I decided to try that. I intentionally set aside newer ideas and simply dug into the ideas, the concepts in that 1940s literature, and I got sober. I did get sober after I had worked in the way that it was described to me. Now, I am thrilled that I got sober. And I just want to point out, my recordings will be quite short. Joe and Charlie's recordings are much longer and much better than anything I will say here. If you are interested in hearing the talks that I heard, you will find the link down in my description. By listening to that and doing what it said, I was able to get sober. So, I have no idea why you would want to listen to me, someone you don't know, talk about how I incorrectly worked the 12 steps. I can tell you there are plenty of very good, valuable recordings and writings about how to work the steps correctly. But if you're like me, you like hearing a slightly different perspective on things. I am deliberately giving you an example to not follow, but I think if you may be surprised to hear I wasn't being stupid. I was doing my best, but I was just making some fundamental mistakes. And again, the evidence that I was working them incorrectly is simply that I didn't get sober. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying I'm pretty sure if I had gotten sober, that would be strong evidence that I worked the steps correctly. So if you're interested, I encourage you to find all 12 of my recordings, how I work the steps incorrectly. Step 4, I think, is 3 recordings because it's a little bit more involved. Step 4 is a step that has more parts to it than any other step. But all the steps are important, and that's what I'll be sharing with you, my experience, strength, and hope. So if you're ready, please find the step 1 of how I incorrectly worked the 12 steps.